And welcome back to another episode of Dogs on the Couch, where everybody's allowed to have an opinion. It does not matter if you played the game you were watching. So you're allowed to have an opinion as well. Today we're going to do a little quick look into the recent draft for the NFL and specifically the Cleveland Browns. Okay, we've been on a bit of a hiatus here for a little while. Had some things going on. Son doing football and school and all this other stuff. So, we'll be back. A couple interesting things that had happened leading up to the draft. One of the most notable ones was Myles Garrett after, requesting the trade and doubling down on it and saying he want to win and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. Once it was, I guess, pretty much clear that he wasn't about to be able to get that trade, he just said, well, forget it. I'm going to go ahead and take y'all up top for the money. Hold on, this is my opinion. I think he said, forget it, I'm going to go ahead and take y'all up top for the money. Since you don't want to let me go, so let me secure the bag, make sure I got the bag, and then when y'all get to messing up again, I'm just going to demand another trade request. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he got a no trade clause in there or something like that. So when you do trade him, you can't just trade him to Saskatchewan. Like, you got to trade him somewhere where he's going to want to go and he's going to, sign off on that. So the no trade clause, in my opinion, is a very huge piece to wield around the next time he would feel like he would, want to demand a trade. So, in my opinion, smart move by him. I still don't necessarily think he's extremely thrilled about being here. I think he was telling the truth when he was saying that it wasn't about the money and that he wants to win and, the things of that nature. I just think his agent probably got with him and was like, well, unfortunately, bro, we're not going to be able to get you traded this year. But what we can do is we can negotiate this contract and we can put in there no trade clause. And so that way, next time we go to the table and we demand a trade request, we'll have a little bit more leverage in our back pocket to be able to make it happen. And I think Miles was like, all right, well, you know what, forget it. We can just do it. We can just do it like that, there. So that's kind of what I think transpired in that scenario. So you ended up keeping Myles Garrett, and you know that you got him headed into the draft. The person that I wanted first target would have been Abdul Carter. Upon keeping Myles Garrett, people were indifferent about drafting Abdul Carter. Basically, you already got one of these guys, but I mean, in the same breath, if you take one of those guys and then now you got one on each side, it's that much more of an intimidation factor. And if by some chance Abdul was able to produce at the level that you would think, then my goodness, you'd have a heck of a pass rush. I mean, good luck trying to deal with both of those guys. Unfortunately, the Browns did what the Browns do, which is Browns stuff. That's what they did. So, leading up to the draft, and this was something that I couldn't fathom. I couldn't understand why they did this. But again, that's what the Browns specialize in, doing stuff that you can't really understand why on earth they doing this. And there's no real logical explanation for it. They trade Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and I think it was either a 5th or 6th round draft pick to Pittsburgh. Or no, not to Pittsburgh, to the Philadelphia Eagles for Kenny Pickett. Okay, so here's the thing. Pittsburgh has won with all kinds of rinky-dink quarterbacks. I think I played quarterback 3 or 4 games, and we won 2 of those. Shout out to Mike Tomlin. So basically, the team that wins at a pretty consistent clip, no matter who's playing quarterback, they looked at that quarterback and said, even though we drafted you to be our guy, we don't think that you good enough. So we'll let you go, you know what I'm saying? And then now they back to like Mason Rudolph and whoever else. I think they called me the other day. I was at work. I couldn't take the call, but probably have my agent hit them back. They might bring me in for a workout at the quarterback position. So basically, they looked at Kenny Pickett and was like, we don't want that guy. The team that wins with whoever at quarterback. So for me, number one, I don't really see what, some people were saying that Kenny Pickett's better than DTR. I don't really see that. And if he is better than Dorian Thompson-Robinson, it isn't by much. It isn't enough for me to send a draft pick with him in order to get Kenny Pickett back. What is I'm sending the draft pick for? We basically swapping the same guy. A guy that's not a start, a guy that is clearly not a starter in the NFL. We're swapping the same guy. Why would I be giving you a pick for that? Especially when we need picks because of the Deshaun Watson thing. So why am I giving up a pick for Kenny Pickett? If we can't trade head up and you like, oh, I ain't giving Kenny Pickett up unless you give me a pick. Okay, well, keep him. Want Kenny Pickett that bad? Are you kidding me? Keep him. Keep the guy. It's Kenny Pickett. I'm not understanding. Like, it's not Aaron Rodgers. It's Kenny Pickett, man. So we do that, and then, our quarterback room looking like we might have Kenny Pickett that just started. Then we move on. We signed Flacco. You know what I'm saying? All right, whoop, whoop. I don't understand why we ain't re-signed him last year. If that was the case, like he didn't do nothing but get a year older. Like if that was the case, you're gonna bring him back. You should bring him back last year. But whatever. The Browns do stupid stuff. Now to the actual draft, where the stupidity reigned supreme. You had the number 2 overall pick. My opinion, should have took Abdul Carter. I said if you wasn't going to take Abdul Carter, then you take Travis Hunter. Those were my picks. One of those 2 guys there at number 2. First overall, Cam Ward. We knew that. That was the consensus, number 1 overall. And then no sooner than we got to like the number 2 pick. I mean, immediately. This didn't take any time. Like no time was ticking off of the clock or anything like that. As soon as it got to the Browns, it was like doom, doom, doom. It flashed at the bottom of the screen. Oh, we have our first trade in the 2025 NFL draft. The Cleveland Browns have traded out of the number 2 pick, swapping picks with the Jacksonville Jaguars and essentially just gaining a first-round draft pick next year. They did a couple other garbage pick swaps at the bottom that don't really matter. Essentially, all you really ended up getting out of it, like something substantial that you got out of it, is a first-round pick in next year's draft. And you're hoping that pick will end up being, I think it was like a top 8 pick or something like that. You're hoping that that's what that pick ends up turning into. So you traded out of number 2 to 5 for a first round pick next year. Okay, I mean, don't really sound too bad right now, but let's go on with what happened afterwards. So, of course, Jacksonville, they draft Travis Hunter. They not retarded. Well, they wasn't retarded in that moment. I'll say that. Okay. Let me not use that word. They wasn't foolish in that moment. For people who may have an actual real condition, I don't want to make it seem like I'm making fun of them. So foolish, I'll use that word. They weren't foolish in that aspect. They said, we got a Heisman Trophy winner here, a guy who plays both sides of the ball. We could utilize him on both sides of the ball. He wants to play both sides of the ball. We finna take this kid. Probably a generational talent. We getting ready to take this kid. No surprise there. Of course, immediately after he goes off the board, Abdul Carter goes off the board. So now both the picks that I was looking at for the Browns, to me, that made the most sense, they're gone off the board now. Who does that leave us with? Mason Graham. Now, let's be clear. I love Mason Graham as a player. Love the body of work that he put in at Michigan. Even though it's Michigan. Here's the only issue that I have with the pick. Because truth be told, as far as available players, I believe at that spot at 5, he was the best available player. I feel like the players that were better than him were already selected by the time we got to our pick, which was 5. So at 5, in my opinion, he was the best player left on the board. So, I guess you take the guy. My only problem with it is this. Ever since I've been here in Cleveland, every time they either draft or sign, this is players, coaches, anybody. Anytime they draft a player from Michigan or sign a coach who coached at Michigan or anything like that, they never work out in Cleveland. For some reason, it never works for them in Cleveland. I give a couple names. Jabril Peppers from Michigan. He was lit there. Drafted him here to the Browns. For whatever reason, it just didn't work. Bro was mid. I don't know. Braylon Edwards. Outstanding wide receiver talent. We draft him here. For some reason, he can't really hold on to the ball in the moments that you need him to hold on to the ball. At one point, they was calling him Braylon Butters instead of Braylon Edwards. And then what's so crazy is after he left Cleveland and went to the Jets with Mark Sanchez, dude actually looked at all right. Like he looked at like what you would have wanted him to be. He was catching the ball in the big moments. Okay, he wasn't all of a sudden just fumbling the ball. I forgot how to catch the ball. Like he wasn't doing that. I'll take it to another sport. How about basketball? When the Cavs first was doing not the first rebuild, it was the second rebuild after LeBron left for the second time when he went to the Lakers, and you're doing your rebuild. So we got to have young players and young talent and blah, 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 blah. Colin Sexton, all that. We had signed the head coach from Michigan. That's who we had signed. That's who we had got, who was supposed to lead us into the rebuilding phase. And, they said we got him because, he college coach, we're going to be getting young players, we rebuilding, whoop, 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 whoop. Michigan guy, the Michigan coach. He did great over there at Michigan. Brought him here, signed him to the Cavs. The guy didn't make it out of the first season before he was fired. That's how bad he was. That's how bad it was. So, for me, I'm strictly looking at it through the eyes of the curse. Because for some reason, it just seemed like when Cleveland go get Michigan people and bring them here, it just don't work out. It ain't like they don't want to be good or they just like they come here like, I'm about to stink it up because it's Cleveland. It's like, no, it's just like a curse. It's like something that, I don't know. It's something that you can't explain. It's like something that just happens. It's just like something where the sports world is like, hey, bro, why are you drafting the Michigan? Why are you bringing a Michigan person here? Like, y'all, it don't work. So much to the point where when dude got drafted, it was immediately uncomfortable because when you get drafted, you put your little hat on and all that, you walk to the side, and there's a little lady over there with the microphone, and she getting ready to interview you, do a little quick interview, ask you a couple questions or whatever. Hey, how's you feeling? You got your family here. How much does this moment mean to you? And all that old kind of crap. And then She said something along the lines of, well, how does it feel being in enemy territory? You know what I mean? You think these people are gonna accept you because you're from Michigan? And essentially, this is the enemy. Do you understand how weird that has to be? How awkward that has to be? It's like, ma'am, I haven't even made it to the city yet. And you are already saying that me in the city that I'm going to, we're enemies. You already pinning us against each other. You already ma'am, I'm not at Michigan anymore. I'm not there no more. I'm in the NFL draft. I'm not at Michigan. I don't play for Michigan. I'm not there. So why are you bringing that up? Why can't I just have my draft moment? Why can't we just talk about me playing for the Cleveland Browns? Why can't we just leave it at that? Why you got to bring up, oh, you come from Michigan. Oh, Cleveland people don't like Michigan. What you gonna do? Because they don't like you. They ain't supposed to like you. Ooh, do you think they're gonna like you? It's like, bro, that's just who wants to walk into that? That ain't the first set of questions that I want to be asked when I'm, that I just got drafted up trying to go to my new team. And I got somebody telling me, hey, they might not like you, man, because you Michigan. You know what I'm saying? Well, then why did you draft me? I don't understand. Like, I don't get it. If it's that deep, why did you pick me? You shouldn't have picked me. You should have picked somebody else. In fact, the only spot where I've known that to kind of work out, and it's by default, because Cleveland does not like to, for whatever reason, again, ever since I've been here in Cleveland, they don't like to pick their own players. Like, so Ohio State, who produces a lot of top-tier NFL talent, especially at skill positions, for some reason, Cleveland Browns do not like to draft Ohio State players. They just do not like to do it. The only notable one that comes to mind is Denzel Ward. That's it. Denzel Ward. That's it. It's the only one. All of the rest of the Ohio State players that's nice, that's the truth. Guess who be drafting them? The Pittsburgh Steelers. They be looking at Cleveland. It's like they be looking at Cleveland like, so you're not gonna draft? You're not gonna draft him? He from hey, you know what? What's his name? Yeah, bring him on in here. We'll take him. We'll take him. Get him. Yeah. They said they didn't want him. I don't know what they think. Come on, bro. Come on in here. And they go over there and they rock out. Real talk. They go over there and they rock out. In fact, Pittsburgh proved me to be right again this year, because when they did draft a quarterback, they drafted the Ohio State quarterback, Will Howard, and got him, in the later rounds, which I feel like that's where you're supposed to get him at, where he was supposed to go and where you were supposed to get him. So, for some odd reason, the only place in my mind that seemed to work out where you draft the ops, Pittsburgh. They don't have no problem. And again, I think Pittsburgh be drafting the Ohio State player because they just be looking like, so, I mean, you ain't watching the film? Like, you don't see how good he is? And you not gonna pick him? Oh, shit, we'll take him. I'm not allergic to talent. Come on in, bro. Come on in. And when you come over here, the first question that you get asked is not going to be, oh, you from Ohio State. Are they going to work out in Pittsburgh? I don't like each other. No, man. That's not them ain't the vibes. In fact, they probably tell the reporters, hey, don't be asking him nothing about no Cleveland, no Ohio State, no none of that. Don't be asking him none of that. He in Pittsburgh now. So don't get to asking him about none of that stuff from the past. He ain't there no more. He here with us. He's a Pittsburgh Steeler. That's all you need to know. Don't get to asking him nothing about that Cleveland, Ohio State. Don't get to asking him nothing about none of that. Don't ask none of them questions. You ask any of them questions, you not gonna you gonna be banished from asking questions going forward. So don't say nothing to him about that. So for some reason, I don't know, man. We draft Michigan people and they don't end up working out here, and we continue to do it. So I like the kid as a talent. I think he's a great football player. I think he's awesome. I think he was the best player on the board where we were picking. The only concern that I have is the Michigan curse. So if he can avoid the Michigan curse, I think he'll be fantastic. However, if he cannot avoid the Michigan curse, you full-on blew your number 2 overall pick, trading back to get a first-round pick next year. And you don't really know what that's going to end up looking like or what that's going to be. But you do know what you had this year, which was 2 supposed generational players in Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. And you said, I don't want either one of them. I'm going to trade back and pick the Michigan kid. All right. I'm going to say it better work. That's all you know what I'm saying? But if it don't work, that's crazy work. It's crazy work. The linebacker from UCLA, I'm not really big on. He's a linebacker from UCLA. I'm not gonna act like I know a whole lot about the kid, seen a whole lot of tape on him. But if you're a linebacker at UCLA, I don't really think you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think you just dominating out there. We'll see though. We'll see. I think you kind of was in need of somebody at the linebacker position because you don't really know what's going to happen with JOK and his injury and if he's coming back good or not. We don't really know. So I get, you needed a linebacker. I don't know if I would have took him, but hey, it is what it is. Okay. Dillon Gabriel. And then you reached to get Dillon Gabriel. This is where things start to spiral out of control. Because the tight end kid that you grabbed, the hometown kid, man, I forget what school they drafted him from, what school he was at, what school he went to. But he's a hometown kid from Ohio. The tight end, I think it's Hannon Jr. or something like that. I'm okay with the tight end pick. I mean, Stefanski loves throwing the ball to the tight ends. So, I mean, you're going to draft a tight end if you got Stefanski. He loves to get tight ends. He loves to draft tight ends. Okay? We had drafted Harrison Bryant and threw that kid the ball until we couldn't throw the ball no more. And then I guess once we finally realized he was trash, which we should have realized way before that, then we, got rid of him, let him go or whatever, what have you. So, of course, you got to get a tight end. That's what Stefanski does. Tight end, I'm cool with. Quinshon Judkins at running back, I'm cool with. I prefer Cam Scatterbull, but Judkins, I can't really complain about that. You know what I'm saying? In my mind, they're similar style. I feel like Cam is a little bit more hard-nosed as far as running is concerned. I feel like that's what you need in the AFC North. Hard-nosed, smash-mouth runner. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily like just this super fast scat back. Because when it get to snowing and sleeting and all that, the speed really don't matter. You know what I'm saying? The power is kind of, what you need. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who could wear you down over the course of a game. You know what I'm saying? Running at you like a Mack truck full speed, running people over. And then when it's cold and snowing and in the fourth quarter and you got this Mack truck running directly at you, it's like, bro, I'm not trying to tackle this guy, man. I'm tired of tackling him, man. My head hurt. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of but for all intensive purposes, I think Judkins can provide something very similar. So I'm completely fine with that. It's the Dillon Gabriel thing. We reach for this guy. It's a reach. Just nobody else had got him. Nobody else was even really talking about this kid. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not hating on the kid. I ain't saying that he just trash or nothing like that, but for all of the downsides that Shedeur had, which was just, just the stuff you look for, natural athleticism and, height and, you know what I'm saying, rocket strong arm and all that old type of stuff, while they were saying Shedeur kept falling. Okay, Dillon Gabriel doesn't have any of those things. I think I'm taller than Dillon Gabriel. I think I'm taller than him. They say 5'11", I don't know. I think I might be taller than him. I'm 5'11". I might be taller than him. He does not have the strongest arm. And I'm this is a long shot. It's not something that you should just be, it's not something that's super analytical or anything like that, but just to throw it out there, just like I did with the Michigan curse, how many left-handed quarterbacks end up being good in the NFL? Like, how many, out of all the years that the NFL been going on, how many sweet left-handed quarterbacks have it been? Maybe 5? Like Michael Vick, Mark Brunell, Steve Young. Who is the other? Where are the rest of the? Where's this long list of sweet left-handed quarterbacks? Matt Leinart was supposed to be sweet. Got to the NFL and it just didn't work. Left-handed quarterback. I don't know. I don't really know. It's not a knock because if you're good at quarterback, you're good at quarterback. Don't matter if you're right-handed or left-handed. But it just seems like when you're a left-handed quarterback, it's a little bit more to have to overcome. Because mind you, everything is in reverse. The left tackle is now the right tackle. The progressions go the opposite direction. All of that kind of, you know what I'm saying? All of that kind of jazz. And then you couple that with he's not tall, he got little hands, and he don't have a big arm. Okay, why did you? What did you reach up to draft him for? For what? Why? Oh, because we like him as a person. Hey man, look. Eventually, you're gonna have to get to the point where it's like, hey, look. That's one thing I liked about Dorsey. Dorsey cared about if you was good at football. Now, we want you to be a decent person. You know what I'm saying? We don't want you just running around causing havoc out here. But we care a little bit more about how good you are at football than how you are in this meeting, than if you didn't take any FaceTime calls in this meeting, or if you cut the crust off your peanut butter and jelly sandwich before you eat it, like stuff like that. To me, I don't think that kind of stuff really matters on the football field. Like I don't think it does. If that's the case, Tim Tebow should still be in the league. He should still be around. Because he was just such a great guy. But the reason they got rid of Tebow, again, another left-handed quarterback, left-handed. The reason Tebow ain't left, they said, bro, you wasn't just playing quarterback, you wasn't good enough. Excuse me. They said you couldn't throw the ball. So all that being nice and, you know what I'm saying, praise the Lord and all that, none of that kept you on the roster. So I don't understand how, you know what I'm saying, I don't understand how that translates as reaching to draft Dillon Gabriel. And then the rumor is, after we draft Dillon Gabriel, after we reached to draft him, because what it seemed like is Stefanski and Berry reached to get him in order to present to Jimmy Haslam, see, we got our quarterback. We don't want Shedeur Sanders. We got our quarterback. See, this the guy we want right here. See, we wanted him so bad that we reached to get him. Okay, but then a couple rounds later, when Shedeur Sanders still sitting on the board and probably nobody expected him to be on the board in the 5th round. Probably nobody. So at that point, I believe it was, I'll go with the rumor. I'm completely fine with the rumor. Because when Shedeur got drafted, the faces of Stefanski and Andrew Berry was kind of like you didn't see the everybody shaking hands and hugging each other. We got one. Like you didn't see that. You see them kind of there like this. I guess he's on the team. Rumor is Jimmy Haslam reached his hand down there. Hey, pick him. He's still sitting there. You got to get him. Even when you hear him talk about the pick afterwards, oh, well, it's just when you look at the equity of where he was sitting at and, you compare that to the numbers of the XYZ chromosome and then you carry the 1 and then bring all this other BS to basically say, like, we had to pick him. Like, in so many technical words and all this word salad that they was using, if you break it down to the simplest form, we had to pick him. He was too good and it was too late in the draft. We had to pick him. Because if we didn't, and we picked Dillon Gabriel, and then it's going to look like we picked Dillon Gabriel over him, even when he done slid to the 5th round, we gonna look stupid because we traded out of the number 2 pick, which people thought we would use to get him. We didn't get Travis Hunter. We didn't get Abdul Carter. You reach to get Dillon Gabriel, and then you don't draft Shedeur if he's sitting there at 5. You gonna look crazy. And in fact, truth be told, I really think one of the things that saved the draft for the Browns, why people make it the Browns did such a good job, was drafting Shedeur. Because to me, the 2 home runs that you had in this draft was Shedeur in the 5th round and Quinshon Judkins. Because we got some other running back that's supposed to be good. I don't really know a lot about the kid. I ain't gonna lie. I wasn't big on him again. I preferred Cam Scatterboo. That was just me. But supposedly the other running back that they drafted is supposed to be pretty good. We'll see. We'll take a look when that time comes around. We'll take a look at it. Again, your running back room is real full now. We're gonna see what you do with Nick Chubb, and then you got Jerome Ford. I don't really know what Jerome Ford really gonna be doing, or Nick Chubb. I don't know. We'll see how they utilize him. I mean, when you had Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, you struggled to give him the ball. So just because you got drafted new running back, that don't mean you're necessarily gonna be giving them the ball. Stefanski is sometimes he would giving running backs the ball. So we'll see. Because he just like to throw to the tight ends. Like that's his main. He's gonna do that no matter what. So reaching to get Dillon Gabriel, and then you turn around and have to have Jimmy Haslam tap you on the shoulder and say, "Hey, you do know that Shedeur is still on the board, right? It's the 5th round. I think there's only 2 more rounds after this. Hey, you need to get him. Yeah, you need to get him. I understand you got the Dillon Gabriel, whatever, that y'all see in him or whatever, but go ahead and pick Shedeur." And again, one of the reasons I believe in that rumor is because, dating back to where I started in this episode, you traded DTR and a pick and a draft pick to get Kenny Pickett. Well, if you was going to draft Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, why the heck would you get Kenny Pickett? You don't need Kenny Pickett. I'd rather see, because this is my thing. I've seen what Kenny Pickett can do in the NFL. It's mid. So before putting him out there, I would want to see what one of my rookies can do. Let me see what. And as much as I just said about left-handed quarterbacks and Dillon Gabriel being short and baby hands and all this other stuff, I'd rather see what Dillon Gabriel can do out there before I try Kenny Pickett out on the field as the starting quarterback. I'd rather put Dillon Gabriel out there first with Shedeur on the roster. Put Dillon Gabriel out there before Kenny Pickett. I'm sorry. I've seen Kenny Pickett, and I've seen enough of it. So why would you trade a pick with DTR to get Kenny Pickett if you finna draft 2 quarterbacks? So again, that's why I don't think Shedeur was in the minds of Stefanski and Andrew Berry. I don't think he was in their plans. Another reason I don't think that Shedeur was in their plans is if you were going to draft Shedeur, you shouldn't have traded out of 2. Because then you could have had Travis Hunter and Shedeur. And say to yourself, let me see if I could get like a discount, like a knockoff version of what LSU did with Joe Burrow and Ja'Marr Chase. Let me see if I can get a Dollar General version of that. Because not trying to be funny, even a Dollar General version of that, in my mind, is good enough to win you some games. Because the real version of Ja'Marr Chase and Joe Burrow got them to a Super Bowl with a terrible defense. A defense as abysmal. It was absolutely terrible. We noticed. We noticed to be true. But they had that quarterback, they had that wide receiver, and a decent running back in Joe Mixon. They got to the Super Bowl with that. So I would just be like, well, you know what? It ain't gonna hurt. It ain't gonna hurt. Let me try it and see. Let me try it and see, and then I'll draft Dillon Gabriel afterwards as a insurance policy. If Shedeur don't get it and he don't work right, all right, well, Dillon, get in here and let's see if you can throw to Travis Hunter and Cedric Tillman and Jerry Jeudy and whatever tight ends we got. Let me see if you can do it then. But I'm at least finna give it a try because they already gonna have just a natural connection from playing with, from playing football with one another for the past, I don't know how many years. So naturally, they're gonna have that connection, just like Ja'Marr Chase and Joe Burrow. So again, that leads me to believe that you wasn't checking for Shedeur Sanders. You wasn't looking for him. You wasn't checking for him. Because if you was, well, I'm not trading out of 2. If I am trading out of 2, I need more than 1 first round pick next year. If you give me 2 first round picks for next year, or you give me a first round pick in 2 seconds, something like that, yeah, okay. Well, then I'll trade back from 2. I'll trade out of that. And you go ahead. But if you're not giving me something that's just blowing my mind, I'm not trading out of 2. I'm finna pick Travis Hunter. You want him. So I'm about to pick him. Sorry. If you want him that bad, you're going to have to give me something for him. You know what I'm saying? Because other than that, I'm about to pick him. I'm about to draft him. It is what it is. So that, again, all roads to me point to y'all when they wasn't checking for Shedeur Sanders. You weren't looking for him. You weren't checking for him, my man. So all in all, as far as like draft grade, I'm gonna give it a C plus. I'm gonna give it a C plus. So a lot of people, A, they loved it. It was great. Again, to me, the only absolute home run picks in my mind were Quinshon Judkins and Shedeur, who fell to the 5th round. To me, I felt like you knocked it out of the park with those. For me, Mason Graham, I have to see if he avoids the Michigan curse. The other running back that you drafted, I got to see if he's as good as advertised. The tight end, here nor there. Tight ends come with Stefanski's system. So you're going to draft a tight end or you're going to sign a tight end. You can never have enough tight ends. Pause. With Stefanski's system. You can never have enough tight ends. So, I mean, that is what that is. Yeah. So that's my current take on the draft. I'm supposed to have another friend of mine come on, and we'll have probably a little debate session, on how he feels, the Browns may have done, in this particular draft this year. So that's my take on it. We'll be back again before too long. And we also gonna include some basketball coming up because we got playoffs happening. Dogs on the couch, signing off.